here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. Okay. Um, My name my name is Miriam Uyewumi, and evening. I'd like to today. So think IPCC mentorship and internship program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals across Africa. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. This program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Africa and around the world. You can watch our videos by searching for JIPCC on YouTube and Facebook, #JIPCC Objectives of the program: guidance, training and resource materials for students and young professionals in Africa, support and development of mentors and mentors in Africa, to facilitate dialogue, to facilitate further mentorship in this. So read the I have some announcements to make. First of all, I have some announcements. So JIPCC mentorship and internship programs for students and young professionals across Africa has some courses, and will like once you fully online courses. These courses are online and they are intellectual industry, fintech industry, health tech and law, patent drafting, blockchain, NFT, and metaverse. So you can register at http JIIPCC MIP registration. You get the link from Mr. Hussein. And also mentees, you have 30 minutes one-on-one mentorship. So you through this 30 minutes, can you please, whose mic is that? Please, can you switch off your mic? Thank you. Okay, so during this 30 minutes one-on-one mentorship, you get acts, secrets, life lessons, and direction from your favorite mentor. You can, register for that online. So going to the our mentor for today. Our mentor for today is Chiamaka Anagu. Chiamaka Anagu is a senior associate at Sports House Legal Practice. She's the head, intellectual property and dispute resolution practice area of the firm. Chiamaka specializes in intellectual property law and its intersection with sports, entertainment, and the media. She has represented Nigeria footballers at FIFA Dispute Resolution Chamber, DRC, Players Status Committee, PSC, and Court of Arbitration for Sports, CAS, on contracts, transfers, and employment disputes. She represents both professional and amateur footballers, intermediaries, and clubs. She has spoken and participated in a number of sports conferences, seminars, and webinars. So, good afternoon, Ma. Good afternoon, Ma. Are you on the call now? Okay, good afternoon. So,
She's not on the call. She's not on the call yet, so she'll be joining us very soon.
she's not okay. She's not on the call. Okay.
Miriam, are you there? I think we lost her. Her network is fluctuating. When she comes back, please. So quickly we'll be taking our mentee presentation from here. To start with group one, you have 10 minutes to the screen and also present on behalf of your group on the topic for today, which is intellectual property and sports. So one presenter, I hope you are ready with your presentation. Kindly unmute yourself, share your screen and start your presentation immediately.
Okay.
We can't hear you. I don't know. Can we all hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Cynthia, and I'm presenting for Group 1, Sports and Intellectual Property Rights. So just like every other aspect of life, there is need for people in the sports industry to protect their intellectual property as well. Some of us may not have known this, but Cristiano Ronaldo earns millions because he has his trademarks and logos registered, and even a referee's whistle is patented. Several intellectual property rights, such as trademarks, industrial designs, patents, license, image rights, etc. are found in the sports industry. As you can see in this diagram, we have patents, trademark, copyright, and the rest, all in the sports business industry. Trademark basically helps to identify, to keep the identity distinct. For instance, sports equipment and logos. It also provides popularity, which in turn generates monetary profits and even sponsorships. For example, we all know about Nike and Adidas and the likes of them. As for industrial design, it creates uniqueness. I mean, every business wants to be unique and stand out from the competition. Trademark rights. In order to be granted trademark rights, you must ensure to satisfy the basic legal requirements of distinctiveness. It can also be granted in terms of distinctive sounds, like the case of the Australian Football League, which has the sound of a football siren registered for their services. Also, distinct names, logos of sports events, and mascots can also qualify. Trademark rights helps organizers and sports clubs to be exclusive in selling out. Now, patents basically safeguards creativity and expertise in production and development of sports equipment. Licensing, in a nutshell, grants rights without transferring ownership of the intellectual property. It is a contractual agreement whereby athletes or organizations give a company permission to use its name, logo, or trademark. The person gaining the rights is the licensee, and the other giving it out is the licensor. Still on licensing, in 2008, BBCL sued Reddit.com, an online company, gaming company, for infringement of their trademark or domain name. The court held that Reddit cannot use the domain name and logo as it was similar. Moving on, sports merchandising helps sports teams and organizations market and deliver their products to consumers by combining merchandising and marketing into a sports spectrum. There are several intellectual property rights in sports merchandising, such as trademarks, copyrights, and designs. Image rights. This creates high publicity for goods or services when the image of a celebrity is on it. This has been exploited severally because of the easy access to it on the internet without consent. Example of image rights includes Inyanya and Xerox Company, Messi and Pepsi, and the likes. In the case of Saurav Ganguly versus Tata Tea Limited, Saurav, who is a popular cricketer, discovered a well-known tea brand, which gave people a chance to congratulate him. And it was implied to be that he had associated himself with the promotions. The court held that his fame is his intellectual property rights. Copyrights creates means needed for investment in the expensive task of broadcasting sports events to fans all over the world. This is due to the fact that sports associations are highly dependent on broadcasters to transmit coverage and connect with fans as well. Sponsorship, which is another prospect of marketing for companies who want to capitalize on major sports events such as FIFA World Cup, UEFA Champions League, etc. Those sponsors in turn gain rights to brand association and media interaction. That is basically what IP in sports is about. Thank you.
I don't know if you can all hear Onyo Miriam, but I can't hear her. Can we all hear her?
She was done. She had concluded and she finished, sir.
No, I'm talking about the moderator.
Okay, no, we can't hear her.
All right.
I can't myself.
Thank you very much, presenter for Group 1. I was expecting the moderator to comment on that, but thank you very much. I can see our mentor is on the call. I also welcome her to the call today, and I see she also heard from Group 1's presentation. Thank you very much for joining us today, Ms. Chiamaka and Abu. We are very happy to have you with us discussing the topic today, and also mentoring us, giving us insights, and also being here to take our questions. So quickly, we've taken Group 1's presentation, and we are calling on Group 2 to also make their presentation before we take the comments from our mentor and also have presentation as well. So Group 2, please, you can start your presentation.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, can I be heard?
We can hear you.
Okay, please, just a
Hear me?
minute. Excuse me, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, please.
Just a minute, I'm trying to share my screen.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, I'm trying to share my screen, please, just a minute. I think I'm having... Hello, can anyone hear me?
Okay, I was saying that why the first presenter was speaking. Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, I'm trying to...
I can hear you well.
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Please, can anyone see what's on my screen?
Yes, we are. We are seeing it. Yes,
Very much. Okay, Mustafa Hawal, the representative of the Group 2, and I'll be speaking on broadcast in sport. So first, broadcasting rights is also known as media rights, and these subsume legal rights which every or any broadcasting company uses and then employs for the purpose of exploiting it commercially. Okay, so basically sport broadcasting has evolved over time, and it is subject to deregulation, opening up marketing entry to create more competition in the general market. So I'll be going straight into ambush marketing. Please, can I be heard?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay. Ambush marketing is simply a market strategy whereby a company tries to associate itself with a particular event or activity. Mostly this happens during sports events. And if we take a look at the case of Nike versus Adidas at the World Cup, what happened here is that Nike actually ambushed Adidas. Adidas was the official sponsor of the tournament. However, Nike ambushed Adidas by kind of hosting a kind of secret tournament. They released a kind of secret tournament. So it was more like they did not really directly ambush them, but then there was this sort of confusion kind of. And then in the case of Red Bull versus Budweiser at the X Games, so in this particular case, what happened was that Red Bull actually set up a tent during this tournament. They set up a tent and were giving out free Red Bull drinks. Again, this is not direct. It is not a direct ambush on them. So moving on, ambush marketing is basically a practice whereby a rival company would more often than not try to promote its product with another event that already has its sponsors, just as the case of this Nike versus Adidas. So there are various types. Okay, basically there are two types of ambush marketing. We have the direct ambushing and the indirect ambushing. The direct ambushing is the unauthorized use of words, logos, and so on. And they go out with full force to actually attack the competitor or stealing, even going as far as stealing their exposure without hiding their intentions. So what differentiates this particular type of ambushing, this direct ambushing from indirect ambushing, is that in some jurisdictions, direct ambushing is kind of criminal, and then there's even a punishments attached to it, like imprisonment. So under this direct ambushing, we have other types also. We have predatory ambushing, we have coattail ambushing, we have trademark infringements, and even self-ambushing. Moving on to indirect ambush marketing. Indirect ambush marketing is simply a situation whereby a brand will attempt to indirectly take advantage of the marketing efforts of another brand. And this is subdivided into two. We have the indirect ambush marketing by association and indirect ambush marketing by distraction. I'll be moving on to applicable dispute resolution methods in sports disputes. Arbitration in sport is a very novel area, and I personally was not even aware of arbitration in sport until this presentation came up. So basically, I think everyone should understand the concept of arbitration. Arbitration is simply an alternative dispute resolution mechanism whereby disputes is usually submitted by agreement of the parties to one or more arbitrators who make a binding decision on the disputes. The major law that is governing arbitration in Nigeria is the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So arbitration in football is usually resorted to reduce the time that would have been spent if litigation had been resorted to. Litigation, we all know, is very long. It takes a whole lot of process. The processes have to be followed, and then there is also the involvement of too much time and money and everything. Now, we're not saying that arbitration is very, very much different from this. No, in fact, I would say that arbitration is more like a younger sister of litigation, because in some instances, arbitration actually consumes money also. So I would say that the major difference between these two is a very thin line, actually. It's a very, very thin line, and it's just the time that would be saved. So moving on, the responsibilities of this panel, number one, is to resolve disputes that are referred to that are referred to them through ordinary arbitration to resolve through the appeals arbitration procedure disputes concerning the decisions of federations. And then, just like I said, arbitration is often faster and even less expensive than litigation. It's like a younger sister to litigation. Arbitration can also provide a more specialized forum for resolving disputes. You can imagine a situation whereby a top footballer is having maybe problems with his club or something, and then they have to go to courts. That cordial relationship is not even going to be there again. But where you resort to arbitration is more like a kind of win-win situation. Both parties will stand to benefit from that arbitration. Now there is in arbitration for sports, there is what is called the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And this Court of Arbitration for Sport is a body or institution which is independent of any sporting body organization, meaning that it does not really have any connection. And this is even the main essence of going into the arbitration in the first place, because you can imagine a situation whereby this particular court is now associated with some governing bodies. Obviously, there's going to be that tendency to be biased or partial. Now, the composition of this is such that it is made up of panels, which are now shadowed with the responsibility of resolving disputes arising within the field of sports in accordance with the laid down rules. Moving on, what does a sports arbitrator do? Like I said, this is a novel area. Not everyone is aware of it. So I think they are just limited to sport cases. And then they can also enter into any other area as they desire, so long as it is within the sports jurisdiction. So how to become a sports arbitrator? You can become a sports arbitrator by focusing solely on sport clients, and there can even be, you can take up additional training programs that will give you certificates and all, and even give you the necessary tools and resources needed to be an excellent sport arbitrator. Some primary responsibilities of an arbitrator now include
to try to round up.
Okay, thank you very much. Meeting with each other party in a dispute to answer questions, reviewing both parties' evidence and documentation, evaluating information, creating settlement agreements for both parties to sign, and the last one, which is writing decision statement and compiling evidence if and only if the case eventually goes into litigation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Group 2. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, very well. Can hear you, please.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So as I was about to say, while Group A was presenting, the mentor arrived, so I was going to welcome her. Welcome, Mrs. Angu. So, okay, we are going to like have a picture time. So please, let's all like turn on our camera. So we'll like take a picture, please. Just for 1 minute. Let's take the picture. Okay. Let's all turn on our mic and let's take a picture and share it to our various social media platforms. Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am. Can anyone hear me, please? I hope I'm not just talking to myself here.
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good afternoon. Good evening already.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Yes, ma, we can hear you.
Yes, ma, I can hear you.
Okay, so we'd like you, ma, to like present on the topic and you know what our mentees have talked about, and we'd like to hear you, ma.
Okay, so good evening, everybody.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, so I think I joined a bit late. I got the link a bit late. So, but I heard the presentation from the first group and then subsequently the second one. So, well, I would say well done. Everybody has done a decent work, but I was hoping to hear something about broadcasting by new media, like online streaming and all that. And then what else? I've written down. I didn't hear anything about the Bosman case. Did any of us find anything during our research about the Bosman case? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Gina, it's breaking up and on though.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just to give a bit of context to what we have been talking about. So IP in sport, from what the groups have presented, spans across copyright, trademark, industrial designs, etc. And for copyrights, of course, we have image rights, broadcasting rights, and so forth, right? For trademarks, we have the names, the logos. We have athletes trademarking some of their own maybe style of celebration or something. And then for designs, we have maybe recently during the World Cup, Qatar 2022, the ball that was used was a new kind of invention, which meant that the ball had in it a device that could detect some things which had never happened in the past. And then also for ambush marketing, which was talked about a bit, I think I'll just give a roundup and I'll take your questions. Maybe during the questions, I can highlight some other things so that we're not repeating everything that's been said. So for ambush marketing, well, the examples that were given were very good. That's what ambush marketing really is about. Because what happens is that most times the rights that are given are exclusive rights. For example, if there's a bid and Adidas and Nike put in their bid, it's going to be one company that will get it above the other. And what has happened over time is that the company that doesn't get it tries to find a way to also get attention to its brand without it being the official sponsor of the event. And that's an example. Then also I heard a presenter for the second group saying something about arbitration in sports being a novel thing. It's not quite novel. It started, I think CAS was established in 1984, while the FIFA Football Tribunal is now called Football Tribunal. Before it was called Player Status Committee was one, then Dispute Chamber was the other. So it was both were set up like in 1991. So it's not very novel. And for football, FIFA advises that all the member associations and federations set up their own dispute resolution bodies so that cases are decided very quickly and they don't have to go to regular courts. Because since the decision in Bosman case and the time it took to get that decision, it was discovered that athletes resorting to home court was not effective because it took a lot of time. So that was where arbitration and online dispute resolution generally, because right now what happens is that if you have a case anywhere around the world and you're a member association of FIFA, you can send in your cases. If FIFA has jurisdiction, they'll take the case. So you don't have to appear physically. Everything is done through emails. You have to send in your pleadings, attach documents. The other case, the other party is informed. They send in their own pleadings, attach evidence, and then they look through it and give a decision. Then they give you a time frame within which to appeal to CAS if you want to appeal. And then if you don't appeal to enforce the judgment, they also have their own forms of enforcement of judgment. Then for broadcasting in new media, so what has happened is that, well, I'm sure some of us know about Facebook's deal with La Liga to show in India, and then Apple is trying to bid for the English Premier League as well. So what happens with new media is that with new media and the advancement, it means that people can you don't have to get to a TV to watch a live match. You can watch it on your phone, you can watch through different mediums. So what that has done through different media, beg your pardon, what that has done is that it has given people access to sports on the go, wherever you are, you can access. But it has also opened up to new types of piracy, because some of these online streaming, they pirate people. They don't have the rights to show you those sports on demand. So what it means is that people that actually pay for those rights are not getting the worth of their rights, because when people get this media rights, they can now go ahead to sell it to different brands and companies just to make their money back. It's like a business thing. So, but if people can get sports on demand without having to pay any money for it, then what is the use of those? So what it does is that it reduces the value of getting TV rights and all those things. So I think I'll stop here and take your questions. So if there's anything I need to expatiate on or give further information, then let's come from the questions. Thank you. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you, please.
Okay. Can I have a listen? Yes.
God's love, I can see your hand is raised. You can go on.
Okay, thank you. Once again, good evening, ma'am. Thanks for an insightful, very brief but very insightful
I can't hear
one.
you clearly, please.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll say thank you so much, ma'am, for a very brief but insightful lesson already. So during my research, I know one thing that kept coming to my mind was with regards to privacy. People actually go to stadium to watch football matches. What happens to pictures taken at this stadium, and then would that be affecting people's rights to privacy? Would I need to send out special kind of, should I say, waivers or documents for them to sign in some sporting events to enable the sporting community actually broadcast such pictures of them? I wanted more insight on that, please.
Okay, sorry, if I understand your question, you're asking for private individuals that come to events?
Yes, please. I come to football matches, I come to probably a stadium or any sporting event, and then actually have their pictures being taken and probably used for publicity for probably next time or for a magazine or something. But then publicity actually come through and they actually get to see their pictures in social media or mass media productions and things like that. Would they need to send out special, would I say special notice to them for them to grant or give such consent to such usage of their pictures and stuff like that in their privacy?
Well, what I know mostly is that most normal individuals that are at a sporting event don't mind that their pictures are shown at that event. The cases that I've come across is like where maybe celebrities come for an event and you take their pictures and you are showing those pictures as a way of advertising to people, oh, this kind of people come to my event. I know that there is a case that was done in, I think it was in France, where the person went to court to say, no, you're not allowed to use my picture because I'm a celebrity and you haven't paid me to use my picture to advertise. And it was upheld that it was infringing on their privacy rights because as much as is a public place, because of they already have an image. If you show people that they're there and you haven't paid them to be there, it means that you're like ambushing them kind of in quotes. It's not ambush marketing now. It just means that you're trying to use the image to sell your own thing. So yeah, that's what I know that has happened in a case in France. But aside from that, regular individuals, like if I go to a sporting event and there's a camera moving around, if I don't want to be captured, I can always put my face away when I see the camera towards me. Right? But most people are happy to be shown that they are in a sporting event. So I don't think until somebody raises that, then the court will decide, or whichever tribunal sitting on it to decide whether it infringes on privacy rights or not.
All right, thank you very much for answering that question, Ma. We still have a couple of questions that were sent by mentees for you before the program. So I'll be reading them from the first question. So I'll just be asking them directly to you. The first one is considering the popularity of sports globally, is it really possible for a sportsman or athlete to be in total control of his or her intellectual property? If possible, how?
Well, the thing about image rights, which I think that's what the question is regarding, right?
Yeah.
The thing about image rights is most times, especially players in developed leagues or developed countries, what they do is that they sign to an image rights company. And this image rights company represents them around the world, right? Most especially in the country where they're playing and then in their home country. And depending on their popularity around the world, like somebody like Ronaldo now won't just be in where he is or his home country. He's a global player, so people know him everywhere. So his company will represent him globally. But maybe for a player like maybe like an Ahmed Musa now, it might only be very popular in like where he's playing and in his home country. So in that kind of place, you can sign up to a company that represents him in those two jurisdictions because all these things are also a matter of contract. And of course, there's know-how. Most times the rights won't be infringed. So that's why all these companies take all these steps. Like you have to be on social media to know what is happening. You have to have ears on the ground for print media and whatever else. I can refer you to the case of, I think it was Mo Salah during, I think it was AFCON. And their airline had had entered an agreement with the Egypt FA without, like what happens in country football is you are not allowed to use a single player. You can use 3 to 4 players. If you use a single player, then you have to get the consent to use it. When you're using them, then it means, okay, this is our team, like part of the team. So I think what happened in that case was that they had used only Mo Salah's picture to say, oh, AFCON and Egypt, something like that. So his company in England had written to say, no, you can't do that. You don't have our license to do that. You have to take it down. And then when they went to court for it, it was upheld because for country football, you're allowed to use 3 or 4 players, which is like saying that this is our team, this is the Egyptian team. But if you want to use one person because you know this person is very popular, that's you now trying to use the image and popularity that he already has, and you're not allowed to do that. So I don't know if that answers the person's question completely. If there's any aspect of it that I haven't touched, then you can just raise it.
Okay, I will leave that to the person that asked the question. You can always raise your hand and I'll call on you to add more on the question or ask any question on the call. So I'll be going to the next question immediately. Can multiple licenses be granted for the image rights of an athlete, or is it an exclusive privilege?
Well, what I know is that multiple rights can be granted, but it depends on the contract. Because like I've already said, the rights are given to an image rights company. Then your own contract with your club also says these are our sponsors. If they need you for anything, you have to be available. And of course, these rights don't have to overlap or intersect, right? So what happens is if what could I use now? Like if you sign, maybe there's no boots, what they call it is boots deal. If your club doesn't have a good deal with any particular company, and then you sign a good deal, what has happened is that most times it's not just, it doesn't cover just your shoes. It might cover other things. So what happens in this kind of contract negotiations is that there has to be specificity. That's English. So there has to be specific to exactly what it covers, because sometimes, let's use maybe Procter and Gamble, for example. They have a wide range of products. So if they were to sign a player and say, oh, let's say, for instance, that they had shoes as well, and they say we're signing it for shoes, it means that some other of their products, you can't sign with competitor brands. So that's why all those things have to be specific. What does it cover? And in that specificness, let's not deal with that bad English. It brings out so that you don't infringe on maybe, and then you don't limit the person, right? So that they can sign as many, because they're trying to make as much money as they can in the period that they are fit to play. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma, for answering that question. I'll be taking the third question. I think we have 4 questions. We still need more questions. So anyone that's interested in sending a question, you can just raise your hand and I'll call on you to ask. So the third question is in line with,
or they can type in the chat box.
Okay, yeah, you can also do that. So in line with the section 1 of the Copyright Act, how does the broadcasting right in sports apply, and does the duration of protection of this right follow suit with the general duration?
Sorry, your mic was going off. Can you start again?
Okay, in line with section 1 of the Copyright Act, how does the broadcasting right in sports apply, and does the duration of protection of this right follow suit with general duration? I think I'll just.
Sorry, the first part is, does the duration?
I think let me just send the question.
You can read it.
Chat box.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Are you just typing now?
No, I'm not typing. I'm just copying and pasting.
Okay, because I haven't seen. Okay.
And
So
I'm
it
I'm
says
at the third question. Third question, yeah.
broadcasting, yeah. How does the broadcasting right in sports apply? And does duration of protection follows through to the general duration? So I think that in my own presentation, I've kind of covered a bit of broadcasting, what broadcasting covers, right? So broadcasting rights are usually for like 20 years, and that's also obtainable in sports. So for sports, the duration is 20 years, and then, sorry, let me give you the other aspect of the question. How does broadcasting rights in sports apply? So what usually happens is that they sell them as, I don't know if that's what the person is asking, but they sell those TV rights or whatever as bundles, right? And they try to make it exclusive. So if DSTV gets the one for this jurisdiction, Africa and wherever they are broadcasting, then that's it. Like the rights that Facebook bought for La Liga was just for India. Facebook doesn't have the right to show La Liga games anywhere else apart from India. And then the Apple TV bidding for the Premier League, of course, they will have their own, they will have some areas that they are going to cover. It's not going to be worldwide. And if it's going to be worldwide, then the worth also will be put into consideration. It will work higher because it's an exclusive right. So I don't know if that answers the question, but if the person needs any more, the person can just type in the chat box here. If there's
Okay,
any more
I think,
clarification, then the
I
first
think
one.
the
Yeah,
last
I can
question
hear
is on the
you.
chat box. So,
Yes, that's what I'm about to read.
is
So it
ambush
says
marketing a,
business tactics or is done by happy that should be enforced against. Ambush marketing is not a business tactic. It's not. It's just what it is. Is trying to reap where you haven't sown. And I explained why it's a bit problematic because some rights are exclusive, like during sponsorship. There's no way Coca-Cola will have a right to sponsor an event and Pepsi will also be given a right. So usually what it does is that during that bidding, which is usually very intense, the one that doesn't get it also tries to find a way to publicize his own brand during that event, which is ambush marketing. But that's for like, this one is now for like very big brands, right? But what of smaller brands? What of smaller brands that might just say, oh, well, I'm just a small brand and I can just hop on the World Cup fever to sell some of my things. And of course, with social media, people can just repost things about a particular thing on their page to just get people's attention while marketing their own brand. So because of social media, there are now different and more ways that ambush marketing can be done. Like the World Cup that was just concluded in Qatar, FIFA had a very concise document, I would say, of about 70 something pages on what people should not do or what we connote ambush marketing. So sporting events are always like they take it very seriously because the rights that they are selling, they sell it at premium. They are very expensive. So they don't want people that haven't spent that money to come and get anything from it. Even down to maybe say people trying to just, okay, because I've bought tickets to watch a match, you're now trying to get maybe 10 people to wear your brand to come to the stadium. Of course, people are going to see it, and it's not like you're a sponsor of the event. So why are you going to do such a thing? But that won't make them to say that, oh, people can't wear branded clothes to come and watch matches. It's just that it now seems like, oh, you're trying to take advantage of the publicity and the reach of the event to get people to look at your brand. Then they're going to find ways to stop you. So my answer is no, it's not a business tactic, even though I'm sure some people can think it's a business tactic, but it's not a lawful business tactic. And people that use it, of course, will be enforced. They will be enforced again. So, do we have any other questions? So yeah, also I wanted to comment on there was a presentation that mentioned something about how to become an arbitrator in sports. So primarily right now, apart from taking some courses, for you to sit as an arbitrator for any sporting event, you have to have a master's in sports law for you to be appointed as an arbitrator. As an arbitration counsel, meaning representing any of the parties, being versed in sports law and sports business can be an advantage. But if you want to sit as an arbitrator on any of the panels, whether at CAS or FIFA or anywhere else, it's expected you have a master's in sports law. So just to point that out.
Thank you very much. But I think Godwin, Godslove wants to ask a question. I can see his hand raised since, so you can just go on.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I'll ask lots of questions because these are my favorite topics regards to sports and IP. Okay, still on ambush marketing. We know basically that it's not really an ideal practice, but then we can't prevent people from actually wearing their choice or most preferred brands to sporting activities. So speaking about enforcement against, let's say, infringers, or not official sponsors, but then are trying to fly their businesses through the ambush marketing. How about gifts that are given to celebrity athletes and things like that? How then can you infringe on those kind of gifts? Because imagine giving a gift to C. Ronaldo, giving a gift to Messi, giving a gift to Simon Biles, who's into gymnastics, giving a gift to Serena Williams and most of the big names. Have them just wear those brands to these events. I know, yes, most often it will go against their contracts with most of the companies or corporations that are sponsoring them individually. But in the case where they can actually find loopholes or lacunas to actually wear those brands, how they can enforce against a gift that was voluntarily, in most cases, won by an athlete?
Well, that's the funny thing, right? An athlete is very hard for an athlete to just have a voluntary gift. Oh, here it is, and I'm getting you to wear it. No, if you give them a gift, they can accept the gift and just toss it. You're making them wear it means that it's either you are now endorsing, like they are now sponsoring your brand, which you have to pay for, or something. So there's nothing like, oh, I just gave him a gift and I'm making him to wear it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like, because anytime they appear in public, all eyes are on them. So anything they are doing is very important to them. They don't just, they're not just like regular people that can make any random decisions. They have a team that makes sure that everything on their body, they're right from, okay, what I can see, the background of where they are speaking, what they are wearing, even if they have glasses on or whatever, if there's a bottle or cup in front of them or behind them, or everything around them is intentional because people know that all eyes are on them. If you're giving C. Ronaldo anything to wear, in fact, an example is Coca-Cola lost like $4 billion in a day because
Yes,
C.
the day he
Ronaldo
removed the
sat
bottle of
down and
Coca-Cola.
removed yes. So a lot of investors sold their shares. And then by the time some other two people did it, they had to call them to order. These are our sponsors. You can't you can't lose business, because as much as you have to make your own money, you are making your own money because this organization exists. And we have organization sponsors, event sponsors. You can't toss them aside because you want to make your own money or you want to make a statement. So these are public figures. Every time they speak, every time the mic is on them, people are watching them. The same thing with maybe post-match interviews, pre-match, whatever. The particular backdrops, they can't just go and stand anywhere and start talking. And those are intentional because those brands are paid sponsors. So that's the point, that there's no, take a gift and then, like what maybe social media people do. They are trying to take a selfie with somebody and they are putting a brand inside. Yes, because they know that those people are public figures, and if you see those selfies, you're going to see that company and you might want to check it out.
Jazzy blogger.
Well, yeah, so.
Thank you very much, ma. I think we all understood the answer and we are all satisfied. I think I can see the smile on Goslov's face. It shows that
Yes.
has been answered. So any other person with questions, please, we need questions before we come to the end of the program for today. I believe we are all tired from today's work. It's been a very hectic.
I can't hear anything. Is it me or?
Okay, hello. If I may, please. Hello. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know why I can't hear the moderator.
Okay, Okay, I don't know if he's still here. I can't see him anymore.
Okay, maybe his
Okay,
network.
I wanted to probably his network. Then. I'd like to ask with regards to endorsements and sponsorships. What's we see is a major difference between endorsements and sponsorships, or when it comes to individuals? Because most often, if a brand endorses an athlete, you know that they're going to sponsor the athletes from the wares they're going to wear there. So how then do we differentiate endorsements then and sponsorship when it comes to athletes, not really events, teams, or associations, but now for an athlete, what's the major difference between endorsing an athlete and sponsoring an athlete?
Well, I think that the word has been used very loosely, which is what might have caused this confusion, because most times sponsorships are for the event. And then most, what is it called? Most athletes, like the image rights they have is like endorsement, like they are endorsing a particular brand or a particular product. But if I'm going to like maybe use our context, local context like Nigeria, to give an example, I'll say that for here, maybe we're going for Olympics. There can be individual sponsors, right? Like let's say they were doing sponsor an athlete or something, adopt an athlete or adopt a team, something like that for the last Olympics. So for that one, that sponsorship is basically giving them money, and like the name implies, sponsoring them to the event. But an endorsement is you're giving them money in exchange for them to endorse your product, which basically means to endorse your brand, maybe take pictures, maybe go on a road show. If you're doing something, they can
Like
appear there.
ambassadors?
Yes, like ambassadors. And then maybe for football, if we circle back to football, maybe anytime they appear in public, they have to wear your shoes, if they are doing like an IG live event or get ready with me on IG, they want to be seen to be using your roll-on and using your care products or whatever. Yeah, that's basically like the brand endorsement. But for sponsorship, majorly for like sponsorship of events, or if you're sponsoring an athlete, it's just like for here, it's like aiding, helping the athlete to be able to go for that competition. That's like using the words in like a loose sense. There's basically both of them are like different things. They don't say brand sponsors are and endorsements, right? So that's kind of because for that's why that kind of Coca-Cola issue happened, because they are brand sponsors of the event, right? And maybe Ronaldo, they said,
Okay, thank you
from
very
what
much,
I
ma'am.
read, there was a fallout with Coca-Cola at
Can you
some
hear me?
point. So he doesn't. Sorry, somebody saying
Hello,
something?
everybody.
Okay.
Please go ahead, Mark. I could hear you.
Okay, no, so I think somebody was saying something. So in that case, like he wasn't if he removed Coke and put water. So it's like him endorsing water. And then whatever water it was at that point, people are going to trust, oh, this is the water that we should drink, as against the brands that have sponsored the event. And that event is where he's going to make his money from. So there's a thin line between individuals and events, but in the end, the events are what makes you the individual, the celebrity, because without the event, you could have been elsewhere doing something else. Yeah, so that's the answer I'll give to that.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
So yeah, okay. I think you went off for a bit.
Yes, my network is
Okay.
fluctuating. Please, I'm
Sorry,
very
your name
sorry.
is in here.
You don't have any. Ma?
What's your name? Your name is
My
in
name
here.
is Hussein Mahadi.
Okay.
Yeah, Hussein Mahadi. I'm like the backup presenter, moderator for this session. So if our moderator network is fluctuating, I'll just step in. So I think we've come to the end of the program for today. We thank all our mentees for their collective teamwork they've put together to make those wonderful presentations and also ask questions. We encourage our mentees to always ask questions regarding all these topics so that by the end of the program, you won't have any question in your mind that's troubling you that you want professional advice on. So we also thank our mentor for today for making it, Miss Chiamaka Anabu. I hope I pronounced the surname correctly. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you on other Jiipcc meetings regarding other topics. So thank you very much and have an amazing weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. And have a lovely weekend. So everyone, you can follow me on LinkedIn with my name. If you have any questions, you can send to my private messages or on my public post.
We'll surely do that, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great
weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.